with a picture of a dog named Bear in a uniform for the Trash Pandas.
Well,
this is an amazing moment of life right now.
We may need to bring the extra large poster tube for when we return, because I have a feeling there's going to be some new Bourbon Sunday pieces to add to our collection after the Atlanta Rock Poster show. It's time for another episode of Best of the Tour. This is the show that takes you behind the scenes of your favorite gig posters, tour merch, and the artists who bring it all to life. Let's start the show.
This is episode number 13 of the Best of the Tour podcast. I think we're calling this one Bourbon Sunday. This is an interview with our friend, awesome artist extraordinaire, Nathaniel Deas. Welcome to the pod, man.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be here. Big fan. So
absolutely. I was powwowing with you before. We've admired your work for so long. But for those of you who maybe follow along, you can find Nathaniel's work on Bourbon Sunday on Instagram. That's the handle, and we've known him from such incredible work he's done for bands like 311, Umphrey's McGee, Dead and Company, one of our favorites, Goose, plenty of pigeons playing ping pong. I mean, it goes on and on. And so just really, I mean, your work's incredible, man. And whenever we see one of your pieces, particularly for one of our favorites, it's one that we're chasing.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, the funny story about the piece behind us, if you're watching on video, this was from a Goose show from the Kettle House from 2023. And one of the things I love most about posters and poster collecting and the art that we have are like all the Easter eggs. And this is like one of the posters that I stare at this and I'm like, I discover new things every single time I see it. But the Goose poster with the dragon, and he's got all these little Easter eggs, like he's drinking tea, and there's stained glass with the whales, and there's little honeybees in there. And so I'm always like curious, when you're creating a piece of work, and it's not just for Goose, but maybe, any of the bands that you do the work for, do you start with the catalog of music as the inspiration, or do you already have an idea? Like, where's the kind of like spark that happens when you're starting to create a piece?
Yeah, well, I will always do a real deep dive with the band, and I already love Goose. That was my second poster for them. And I feel like they lend very well to like fantasy elements. But just in general, I will look and see where the show is going to be played, try and maybe tie in something there, but get a feel for the band, and really just go from there. And it's different for every single piece. But that one in particular, I was just like, what else can I throw in there? Like I've been wanting to do a dragon for so long, and then like this one came around and it's like, okay, good. I think I can make that work here. And then it's like, what if the dragon's drinking hot tea? And like, just like that just became this fun idea to go off on.
It's almost like, because this was done a couple years ago, and since you mentioned you're a fan of the band Goose as well, their newest album was called Chain Your Dragon, which is it's like, which came first, the chicken or the egg, right? But this was like a monk ear that they had been sort of talking on the road from a mispronunciation of when they were out one night and they're driving and they've got, the van and they got the unit that's dragging all their gear behind them, and they have a guy who pulls up. The story is that there's some guys like yelling down the window like, your chains are dragging. It's like they were somewhere in like the middle of nowhere, and all they thought was they heard it say chain your dragon. But it's that your chains are dragging.
Yeah, kind of like hitting the pavement and sparking.
Yep.
That's great. I hadn't heard that. That's awesome.
If you're like me and Erica, you love passing out stickers while attending concerts with friends, making new friends. Where do you get these stickers? Look no further than stickerrobot.com. They are renowned for the highest quality sticker printing on the planet, world famous, custom outdoor silkscreen sticker printing, free US shipping, and we have a promo for you. If you visit stickerrobot.com/invisible, you will receive 10% off your next high quality screen printed sticker order. So act fast.
going right now.
Right now.
Right now. And also, thanks to our friends over at the Rock Poster Society. If you don't know TRPS, they are a nonprofit behind the world's longest-running rock poster collection shows. That includes the Festival of Rock Posters in San Francisco, which is a bucket list thing for Mike and I to go to. They have been championing the art of poster for decades. They support both the artists and those people who collect them and preserve them. If you want to get involved, go over to trps.org if you want to become a member and check out their upcoming events.
Check them out.
Yep.
And about that piece, this is one of the, I had to double check, but I'm pretty sure I've seen on there. I mean, we see Easter eggs quite often, but I thought the small touches that you did here, like even on the tag from the tea bag coming out of the hot tea, you put in 726, which is another of their song.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, that's like an Easter egg in an Easter egg. It's like Easter egg inception. This is wild.
Yeah, that was definitely one of those where it's like the design is basically already done. And I'm like, where else can I throw something in there?
Well, it's one of our favorite pieces in the collection. And, you know, oftentimes, you know, we were not at the show. This is one of those bucket list locations that I wish I was at that show, because going to Montana is like a bucket list location for me.
Same.
You know, I mean, I just feel like we watched Yellowstone, and like I feel like I'd like to go out there in some cowgirl boots and just, you know, feel connected to the earth.
Well, I think this venue, the Kettle House Amphitheater, it's supposedly like right there, kind of like waterside along a creek or a river or something like that. It just sounds incredible.
Yeah. But it's one that, you know, I had seen out in the ether, and then, you know, sometimes you just get a little wild hair and you know, are perusing through your favorite artists' catalog on their websites, and I saw you had like an AP. And so I snagged this AP, and it is like, it's perfection. When I say it's one of my prized, and I'm not usually, well, now I am now, but I used to be more of the passive, like Mike's like, hey, I'm going to get this poster. I'm like, cool, sounds great. And we used to go like, oops, I accidentally bought another poster, and now it's both of us. So we're equally to blame.
Well, I mean, we can expect what I'm going to do, right? But when we have one that just shows up, you're like, I'm sorry, I bought a poster. I'm like, I know this is serious. This is a real one.
This is. And speaking of kind of some recent art and recent events, you had shared actually on your Instagram, and I think the collective is familiar with the passing of one of the, you know, incredible creators and founders of the Grateful Dead, Mr. Bobby Weir. Mm-hmm. And I know you've done a lot of work for Dead and Company. And the most recent one that you posted a few of your pieces, and the one that stands out to me is the Red Rocks one, because holy moly, that's so cool. Talk to us a little bit about this incredible Dead and Company catalog that you have.
Yeah, well, that was one of those moments when I got the initial email, like, about doing a job for Dead and Company. Years in the making, and it was just finally like one of those, like, okay, I guess I have made it. I'm doing it. This is, you know, the Grateful Dead. To me, I grew up on the Allman Brothers and the Grateful Dead, so it doesn't get any bigger than that. Yeah. Their music is just, it's meant so much to so many people, myself included. It's what, you know, I listen to when I'm having a bad Sunday, or if I want to, you know, getting ready to go out, or if I'm working, or it's just, they hit every mood. So yeah, that was a tough one, but yeah, one of the biggest honors that I've had was working with them, and it still doesn't seem real.
Yeah.
I think in this scene too, I mean, like you said, the music has meant so much to so many, especially with Bobby's recent passing. I've just seen so many posts by so many people outpouring just, you know, love and gratitude, and different artists, musicians talking about their experience, from John Mayer to obviously Goose posted some great stuff. And I think I mentioned this the other day on a podcast about Randy Carlisle's comment about Bobby Weir and how he was just the type of individual that always kind of, you know, touched so many lives positively and left every kind of corner of the universe a better place than when he found it. And I thought that was a really on point tribute to him and to the music. And yeah, like you said, it's a tough one, but also, you know, the positive side, the optimistic side. I feel like, how lucky are we to have lived in this time and spent, you know, years on this planet. We only actually got to see Bobby perform live once, but it was awesome. It was Dead & Co. final tour here in Raleigh. And I've looked back and I'm like, man, I don't know if you realize how lucky you are until something like this.
Yeah, it's something I say to my wife a lot of times when we're at a show and just a certain song comes on or a feeling, and it's just like, how lucky are we? Or we are so lucky right now, like that we're getting to see this. And anyway, to leave a legacy like that, isn't that something that like we should all strive for? Even not like so much like success and being famous, but leaving a good impact on people, being remembered fondly.
Yeah. And to that point, like I feel like, your work, your industry, what you do specifically, some of the work you did for Dead & Company, loving a band that much and being able to produce art that supports the band, and not just any band. We've been to a number of different band shows, and Dead & Company, Grateful Dead, they are sort of in the merch game, like they're up there, right? I think I've been blown away by them, by Pearl Jam, just like the level of options that they bring to the merch booth and the merch tent. But we talk a lot from the collector's perspective of those pieces that mean so much to people who have that experience. They're at that show, right? And now they get to put a Dead & Company poster by Bourbon Sunday on the wall. And that's tied to the fabric of, the history, the fabric of the experience. And tell me about that. Like, what does that feel like? Because I can only imagine being in the fandom like that much, but also being, woven into it.
Well, that's something I say a lot, like our little niche corner of the art world, like what we're doing is creating memories. Like the gig poster, it's, even if you don't put it on your wall, you can put it in your flip book or whatever, but you will look at that and you'll remember the show if you're there. And to me, that's something pretty special. And it's, I personally, I never phone anything in because I want you to get something worth it, because you're going for this experience. And if you are going to wait in line forever to get this piece of paper, I want it to be something special that you will always, if you don't cherish the actual artwork, you will cherish the experience of being at that show and how you felt. And a lot of my art is trying to convey a feeling that reflects the band and the scene. So, and hopefully I'm successful with that.
Well, as the poster collectors that do stand in line and wait, and, and back in the day, you never knew what it was going to be. You got in the merch line and until you showed up at like the front of the line, you didn't really know exactly what the poster was going to be, who the artist was. There was like a little bit of a disconnect. I'm talking like 10 plus years ago, with Instagram and social media, now either the artist will not, the musician sometimes in their merch team will post, tonight's poster is by, and here's the image of it. Sometimes there's a little leak on the poster collector group. Somehow they get a little heads up. I don't know how, but sometimes there's a little bit of that. So the two dividing sort of factors for us as collectors, one is when we don't know what it is and we're standing in line, there is this like frenetic energy about collecting. And then it's great to hear as a collector that you're just like, I want to give those people who are waiting in line, the people who are going to the show, like I want to give them the moment where they walk up to that merch booth and they're like, holy shit. Yeah. And then the other side of it is, it's like, it's also, it initiates like us to be like, oh, we got to get going. If we do see it online and we're like, oh, that's a print we have to have. Then we put in the time and the energy to go and wait in line. And we were just talking with a couple friends recently about how the poster line has created so many friendships for us. And again, you're spending time with all these people who love the same things you love.
Right. Just as crazy as you are.
They're just as bananas as you are. And you're usually going to see a band, obviously, that there's, simpatico that we all love. And to collect the print and to connect with those friends. It's not just, I remember being at that show, or I love the artist, so therefore I collect the print, but like, it's the connective community that also is the big part of why we do what we do.
Well, I think, sorry, go ahead, Nathaniel.
Yeah, I'll just say absolutely. The it is about community and the live experience and being amongst the crowd, and you're sharing in this experience, and the collective of fandom, I guess. I don't
Yeah.
We need more of that too.
And that's what I was saying is
Yeah, exactly.
what it made me think of was, dovetail into the Rock Poster Society, because I think of that experience and lining up and meeting people. And these are kind of communal experiences you kind of run into at different conventions, I mean, my whole life I've seen pictures and things from San Diego Comic-Con, and I was always like, someday I'm going to make it out to San Diego. Still haven't done that yet. But one that's coming up in February, right, Erica? You want to tell us the details? It's the Rock Poster Society show down in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah, the Atlanta Rock Poster Show. This has been going on for several years, and it is down in Atlanta, Georgia. This year, it's going to be on February 28th from 12 p.m. to 7 p.m. at Sweetwater Brewing Company, which is pretty cool because we're big fans of the beer for many, many years. And Nathaniel, you have been attending, and you will be attending this year again. So tell us a little bit about from the artist side, what does that collective, that event feel like for you as the artist?
So Atlanta is my favorite city ever. I lived there for a couple of years. And when I was invited to the very first Atlanta Rock Poster Show, this was another huge moment for me. Matt Lunig of Scrape Knee sent me the invite, and I was like, oh, wow, he knows who I am, first and foremost, and thinks I'm worthy of attending. I'd always wanted to go to a Trips show, but it's really hard for me to get out to
all the way to
San Francisco or Texas. I'm based in Florida, so Atlanta is absolutely doable. And it's an amazing time where I've gotten to meet so many other fellow artists who I've looked up to forever, and getting to meet fans who have become friends. And it's in a really cool spot. We've got our own private bar upstairs where we're all set up. But yeah, it's such a cool time. It pushed me to take the next step in my artistic evolution. I'll try not to ramble too much.
No, please. This is great.
But the first Atlanta Rock Poster Show, I think it was in 2020. It was right before COVID hit. But I am situated in between Jeff Wood and James Flames. So,
my goodness.
And then here I am, Bourbon Sunday, just in the middle of it. And I'm just like, okay, this is a hero of mine who who has inspired me from the very beginning. And friggin' James Flames, who is just a master. And then looking at my own artwork and just being like, this isn't good enough.
Wow.
So was feeling pretty stagnant at that point. And it was a really good opportunity for me to talk to other artists and just be like, so what do you do? How do you do these things? What's your process? And I was telling them how I was creating. And they're like, oh, well, you need to get a Wacom tablet. Owen Murphy was pretty essential in that. He's like, dude, just get a Wacom. You'll just see things skyrocket.
Wow.
And so quickly after that, I did that. I was taking my pencil illustrations, inking them directly on the pencil, scanning it in, and then taking it into Illustrator and live tracing it there. Wow. And vectorizing all the color, so losing 90% of the detail, and everything just looked flat. And then COVID hit right after I got the Wacom, so I was like, well, I don't have any posters right now, but I can play around with this. And it's just like, I can zoom into 800% and, be inking in details, and it's just like night and day where everything is. And then like, so it was like the next year or 2 years coming back to Atlanta, you were like, wow, your work is just like taking off. And I was like, yeah, this was the turning point.
Wow. It's all, I think of it from like, I mean, this is your job and you show up every day, and it can be somewhat probably isolating, right? Because you're either working from home. It's not like you're going into an office or have, a whole team of people. And so these events like the Rock Poster Society, the Atlanta Rock Poster Society, even like Flat Stock, which I think is what you were referring to in Texas. Those are opportunities not just for us as the collectors to come and shake hands of our favorite artists and be like, thank you for the amazing work that we have on our walls, and to be able to support y'all by purchasing artwork. But for you guys, as like a community, right, is the time to get together and to like inspire one another. I think that's really cool. One of the questions that we have kind of been asking on a regular to our guest is, who is an artist, that you've seen recently that did a piece of work that inspired you to either work a little harder or make you go, damn, I wish I would have thought of that.
There's so many. Mark Spoosta is, well, okay, so Mark Spoosta is actually going to be in Atlanta this year.
Which is so cool.
I'm really excited to meet him. He is a hero of mine. He and Matt Lunig were actually two artists who inspired me to start drawing again. I've been just doing like graphic design, and that had run its course for me. And it was just like looking at their artwork, it was just like, I just want to just draw the thing.
Yeah.
So they'll be there, and it's so cool getting to meet these brothers and sisters in arms, where this is a very isolating job. I'm just sitting in this office most of the time by myself, and, we're all kind of doing the same thing and pushing, and it's great to hang and talk shop in person. But I think I lost the question. What you were...
was there somebody you've seen recently over the last, like, maybe couple months? I'm going to shorten the, like, span, because if I said over the last year, I can't even tell you over the last year who one of my favorite pieces would be, because I'd be like, oh, well, there was this one and this one and this one.
There's so many.
So many. But maybe, somebody that you saw post a piece that made you go, well, I got to up my game. And or I really wish that I would have thought of that idea.
Again, there are so many. Todd Slater just posted something today that looks pretty incredible. It's just like a little teaser.
The bear
with the little rose.
Yeah. So whatever that might be for.
I love when you guys do that, because it gets our brains like speculating. It's really how we started the podcast, which was, we would either be getting ready for concert season, getting ready to go to a show or two, and Mike and I just having coffee, thinking about, yes, we would talk about like, what songs do we want to hear? But like the majority of our conversations are, who do you think the poster artist is going to be?
Right.
And we would just kind of speculate, and then we'd say something to the extent of like, oh, did you see that little snippet that Todd posted? Like, what do you think that that's going to be for the Dave show that we're going to, or the Goose show, or whatever it was?
So that's actually a true story that happened. We were going to the Dave Matthews shows in Charlottesville a couple of years back, and we were just kind of getting ready and packed. We were taking our kids with us, so it's kind of like a family trip. Sort of imagine like Griswold family trip in the car, kids, for Dave shows at Charlottesville. And as we were kind of going through stuff, Todd Slater dropped a little hint teaser of these sort of like waves. They just look like blue waves, a little orange flare in it, and it was the same kind of thing, like coming soon. And I just chatted in like, maybe for DMB at Charlottesville, fingers crossed. And I think he liked it, and then like responded with like some like the eyes like looking at it like, what you talking about, Willis, kind of thing. And I went to Erica. I was like, I think this is gonna be.
We have to go get in line right now.
Right? Yeah. Sure enough, I was in line at like 2:00, and it was already insane. Yeah. But it ended up being this like fox, like this. Charlottesville has sort of a history of the old foxes. Hunting, kind of like when they sent out the foxes to find the game and things like that, or I guess it sent out the hounds to find the foxes, whatever it is. And so he took that and ran with it, and it ended up being this orange Charlottesville fox that was this kind of mascot of the weekend, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But like
Yeah.
to your
that's
point, it's
awesome.
that it's tied to that memory, and it's a memory that we shared with friends, with our kids. We had a great weekend, great music, and we've had a lot of discussions on the podcast with artists too about sort of this intrusion of the artificial intelligence world, AI and art, and I'm sounding probably like a broken record at this point, but I'm just like, if there's anybody out there listening that cares about my opinion on it, it's like that is a horrible idea. From a collector consumer perspective, we're here for the artwork that folks like Nathaniel create, because you can't get to that level of meaning, of Easter egg inception, of like hot tea, with a tea bag that has 726.
Right.
It's not just about the design. It's that you see that y'all poured a little bit of yourself into it. You poured some of your favorite moments or memories or Easter eggs that you get from the music or from the venue, the experience, what you think, like you said, would be a wow factor kind of for the fans represented. And I think, to me, that's what kind of stands the test of time in the poster game. And adding that element, it's really just a thanks to you and to everybody that's doing this poster game. That's what I think keeps us coming back for more.
Yeah, I think you get something more when it comes from an actual person, something with a soul.
Right.
When I see, it just really makes me so sad every time I see AI art, which is all the time now. And like, I'll see just local pages, and it's like, I can't like this post because it's AI art, and I refuse to do it.
Oh yeah.
And there's the argument now too, where, if it's just for like a promo piece, or it's just like the flyer for a local flyer for a small band, then who cares, or whatever. But that's how I got my start.
Yeah.
Like, I was designing flyers almost 20 years ago now, and like, I wasn't getting paid for it, but I got paid by free tickets. So like, you could find somebody to make a flyer, like just do some little graphic design, put a photo of the band and type their name on it. Like, to me, that means more than that like yellow tinged thing with like arms that are going backwards with 15 fingers,
And some of those become highly sought after, once if that band grows into, the stratosphere, to have one of those early handbills, right, or flyers, maybe not necessarily a dollar value to it, but to like a collector value. It's like, I know there are folks out there that collect that stuff for DMB, for Dave, because I've seen it pop up here and there, like old flyers or handbills that were done.
But I think oftentimes talking to artists, I think we've had multiple conversations where my friend, an artist would say, my friend had a band and they wanted me to create the CD cover for their, their CD, or they're going to be doing a show at the local little venue around the corner. And, as an inspiration to new artists that are trying to get into the gig, to try to get their work out there, there is a grind to it from what I understand. But putting in the work, putting in the effort, I think is what then translates into the sort of energy, whether you are fresh, starting brand new and you're looking for inspiration on how to get into the industry, but also for those of us who, again, stand in the poster line and get really excited about, because for us, this is our art. This is like, we have over 100 posters up on the walls in our home. And, we cherish every single piece that we have. And as the collection grows, sometimes it's hard, but there are like those pieces that just are like, that's never coming off my wall. And I hope that.
And pro tip for the listeners out there, like we've gotten into lately sort of cycling, right? Like our different
little gallery.
Like moving stuff in and out of frames, freshen up the room, freshen up the space, maybe based on season. Put some stuff in a portfolio, bring some stuff out of portfolio.
It's fun.
It makes it a really fun way to kind of, when you get kind of like
down. That's what we do here also.
Yeah. It's like you get kind of People get down, particularly around this time of year, taking down like the holiday decorations. And it's like, cool. If you want a quick pick me up, right? Cycle out some of your old posters and put some new stuff up and freshen up the walls.
Well, I think this is a good opportunity to talk a little more about the Atlanta Poster Show because, again, if you're a collector and you're going to be going and attending, I hope you can. First of all, it's free. It's free to attend.
Yeah, it's free this year.
Incredibly amazing.
That's awesome.
I mean, I would pay to go, but the cool thing is you don't have to pay to get in. But when you do get in, then you got extra money to go buy posters from your favorite artists. So I kind of look at this as like, oh, it's a win-win for all of us.
What about that? Can you tell us, Nathaniel? Like, what have you seen there? As what could poster collectors, poster hunters, sort of like hope to see at something like that?
So, like, I always hold back a certain amount of every poster that I do. So if something's sold out, this would be an opportunity to get that by coming to an event that I'm at in person. So I do have several like sold out prints. And I know that other artists do the same. Like, there's, if you missed out on something on the AP drop, maybe you can grab it here.
This is going to get expensive fast.
Yeah. Well, and the reason we say that this is going to get expensive fast is because Mike and I are actually going to be attending the Rock Poster Show as a Best of the Tour and our other podcast, which is Posters in Every Direction. We're going to be coming and doing some...
kind of a collab, if you will.
A little collab, a little like... we're going to be doing some interviews with artists while they're there, and I'm sure we'll be purchasing artwork because, now I know. I'm like, oh, can I get something that no one else is probably going to get access to? Heck yeah, I'm gonna be first in line.
Yeah, and I think it's just so cool to be able to buy directly from, some of your favorite artists because, we stock the website and things like that. We wait for AP drops. Sometimes they drop, they sell out instantaneous. But it's such a rare instance to have that opportunity to say, thank you, this is an incredible piece, and talk about it a little bit and buy it and take it home with you. And then have that kind of woven into the fabric of the memory of the piece.
Yeah, we're going to have a really stacked lineup this year. It's always a stacked lineup, but Spooster's going to be there. Chelsea Housen's going to be there.
Oh, yeah, we love Chelsea.
Brian Steely, who actually did the event poster, he's an Atlanta guy. He's going to be there. Derek Perez of Paragon Creative. He's one of my friends who I've basically made because of the Atlanta Rock Poster Show.
That's cool.
And Jeff Wood is going to be there, so you can get some really iconic pieces directly from the artist. And we're all just hanging out, we're having a good time, and it's a blast. I look forward to it every year, and it's more of just like it's a cool hang.
It's like did you ever go to like summer camp or go have like those like as a kid like the year over year where there's only the one place where you got to see your friends.
Right.
It sort of like feels a little bit like that kind of energy of like, I'm so excited to see the people that I keep up with online. We see them, but once or so a year, and to be able to like give them a hug and say hello and interact. I mean, that's got to be just such a fun, like there's an excitement over that for you guys.
Yeah. And like I said, my first year there, was going as a vendor, but also like mainly as a fan. It's like, these are the people, like I've only just seen their work forever. And like, this is all I do is look at gig posters and listen to music and create gig posters. So it's like, these are my celebrities, the other poster artists. So it's just like, oh my God, that's James Flames. And he's standing right next to me. That's Nate Duvall over there. And I'm like, hi, I'm Nathaniel.
That's so cool. But now, like, the other piece of this is you're in that echelon of those artists. Like, I hope you know, right? Like, your name is along those levels of the artists that are out there.
Some people say
for us as collectors.
I disagree, so.
Yeah, and I mean, every single time, I think, and sometimes we'll interact. I always like to comment and like share and try to like hype up pieces that are inspiring to me. And you just have like hit after hit after hit. Every time I'm like, oh yes, that's amazing. I love that.
There was one recently. I mean, we always say a mark of a great artist is one that makes us want to buy a poster from a band we don't necessarily collect
Yeah.
posters for. And like, I listened to 311 a good bit in college, but just never really got into collecting 311 posters. And you have done some absolute bangers there. Particularly, there's this sort of alien guy that I'm looking up right now to see. It was back in August.
Yeah, the newer one, yeah.
And it's like the three-eyed alien head, and it's got all these sort of little aliens in sort of a pattern around it. And that thing I think it's a rainbow foil. It just absolutely slaps. It is so good.
Dazzling.
I mean, dazzling to talking about the level of detail, like the granularity you get in kind of like the Gray's skin and like the cosmos that appears in the eyes. It's just like, this is a mind-bending piece. It just really is. I'm this close to owning a 311 piece because of that. If I walk into the Rock Poster Society and there's a foil variant of that poster, I may be buying my first 311 poster.
There's a pretty good chance of that. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And I would say I approve. But and the other piece is like, we talk about this as sort of like your signature as an artist, right? To be able to see something. I mean, we're more well-versed, I think. Like a lot of times we have friends who will text us, be like, hey, who does this art? Who's this artist? You know, and it's like, oh yeah, that's so-and-so or that's so-and-so. For us, when we see something pop up, especially like I said, if it's a band that we're following or a band at an event that we're at and we see an artist, you have one of those very unique visual signatures is the way I kind of look at it. Like I would know that that's a Nathaniel piece, but every piece you do is so unique. Like it's yours and we know it's yours, but also it's every piece is different from one to the other. Like I love, you did a Billy Strings one that looked like a baseball card, but it's the dog. Is that your dog or is that somebody's dog?
That's Billy Strings' dog. Yeah.
Billy's dog.
Yeah. That's, there's a funny story behind that one. So that was in Huntsville, Alabama. So Billy's management team, they had pitched a couple different ideas. Like it's like Rocket City is Huntsville, Alabama. So they were like, we would encourage you to do something with space rockets. And so I gave a sketch with that, and then gave another sketch with like a body of water. And then they came back with, well, the weekend posters are going to have those themes. Can you do something else? It's like, sure, fine. And so like did more research on the city, and they've got a minor league baseball team called the Rocket City Trash Pandas.
I did not know that, but I'm now a fan.
Yeah, exactly. I found that out. I'm like, oh, well, that's amazing. Like, so I was like, okay, how about if I do a raccoon, like in an old school baseball card? They're like, well, instead of a raccoon, can you make it a bear or a picture of Billy's dog, Bear? And I'm like, oh, well, that seals it. So it was like the third option that became like the most fun option. And like, yeah, that was a lot of fun to do.
So true story, and he's asleep right here. And it's hilarious because I did not know that Billy Strings had a dog named Bear, but we have two Shih Tzus, and if you're listening to the podcast, you may have heard them in the background before, but we have two dogs, Bear, who's a chocolate Shih Tzu, and Ghost, who's a little white Shih Tzu. And they have different temperaments. Ghost is a very sensitive little, tiny dog. If he has too much kibble or too much water, he throws up like a cat. It's annoying. We're constantly cleaning up poor Ghost throw. I know this is just what the listeners want, but listen, the thing is, Bear is the other dog, which totally disassociated from Billy Strings. But I kid you not, Nathaniel, Bear is the opposite. He's like got an iron stomach and he eats anything to the point where our nickname for him is
Trash Panda.
Trash Panda. That's what we call him. So now there's also a poster with a picture of a dog named Bear in a uniform for the Trash Pandas.
Well,
this is an amazing moment of life right now.
We may need to bring the extra large poster tube for when we return, because I have a feeling there's going to be some new Bourbon Sunday pieces to add to our collection after the Atlanta Rock Poster show. I love that. So
one of the things I love about this piece, I'm looking at it right now. I mean, I think it's brilliant. Number one, that's a brilliant pivot to go from, hey, we want you to use rockets. So sure, I'll use rockets. And then like, well, other people are doing that. And then you're like, how do I rework this? And you put it into the uniform and kind of tied it to the local minor league team. That's just brilliant in and of itself. But then the way that you went the extra mile with designing the baseball card to look like a card from the 80s,
Yeah.
like it looks like one that I collected when I was a kid.
Old Topps cards.
With even that kind of like
It's like
worn edge look to it.
Yeah, I think it's like the 1973 Topps is what I based it off of, which is like either the ugliest or the coolest baseball card ever, depending on what you think. And it's like very like colors that clashed.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But yeah, and so it was a lot of fun making like intentional mistakes on there. Like you could see, like I've pivoted the color so it looks like there's a misprint on there where the colors don't quite line up.
Yeah.
Yeah, along the edge. That's so cool. And the way that you had the art treatment too is different than I think a lot of your art. It almost looks like you were drawing with like colored pencils almost. You know, that like the way that the uniform of Bear the dog and all of it, like it looks like almost like more of a watercolory kind of with pencils and brush strokes, which, you know, I think from contrasting that on the alien that's like glitzy and glittery and so neon and bright, and you've got these sort of digitized imagery behind the head with the universe and the eye. It's like how do you go from that to that? Like that is quite the jump as far as creativity goes. And I think that again is another unique piece of the way that you have this sort of like magical ability to take a concept and take it to like the next level.
Well, thank you for saying that. And, like when I first started, it was like I was trying to find a style, and I always felt like I still don't feel like I have a specific style. Like it all kind of depends on the band that I'm working for, or what feeling this needs. Sometimes it's more graphic, sometimes it's more bold, sometimes it's more subdued. But I think at the end of the day, coming from my hand, it always ends up, as much as I like or dislike it, it always ends up looking like I drew it because I did. And I'm gonna butcher this quote, but it was like I heard something one day. It was like an artist dislikes a piece because they're striving to do something else, but they dislike it because it's what they're doing. And that's how I felt my whole career. And so I'm always like trying to do something that doesn't necessarily look like somebody else, but I'm trying to push it. But this is where I'm at right now. And so it's like the next one will be different.
That's
yeah,
exciting.
Always wanting to find a style, and like it's so much varied, but I feel like it always kind of looks like me, and that's the goal anyway.
Yeah, and even if they're different, like subject matter and change, I think, like you said, you're trying to convey a feeling, and that's what's consistent for me. Is like the feeling is very, consistent. It's very similar. Even if the piece changes, there's still this, kind of story that's within the piece in a snapshot, but it's usually fun or positive and something that really draws me in when I look at it and makes me want to spend time there and look at it more and find, are there Easter eggs or those little kind of details and depths like that, the cosmos in that alien's eyes, which I'm mesmerized by. I'm probably being hypnotized by the three-eyed gray right now is what's happening.
You will buy more posters.
Buy more posters.
That's what he's saying to you.
That's right. That's right. But there's also, we're talking about not just the posters, the memento, because I think we were talking about that earlier in our conversation, right? You go to the poster line, you pick up the poster, you're at the show. The memory is the memory, whether you're there or not. But it's also like there is such a sort of divine piece that comes from the art that's on your wall that does convey, like, especially this one. I mean, there are direct ties to songs that are some of my favorite songs from the Goose catalog. And same kind of thing when it comes to a lot of the other pieces, like the Grateful Dead pieces that you've done, 311. And there was a slightly stupid one, I think, that was recent that I just like fell in love with. And it's really just such a cool thing to see the artwork that just feels like an extension of the music. I think we've talked to artists that do that, and it feels like it's just like music that then gets magically turned into paper, ink and paper somehow.
Yeah, and that's always the goal. Varying degrees of success with that. But yeah, that's always the intention. The last thing I want is for, you're waiting for the poster announcement and it comes up and somebody would be like, meh.
There are those online that can be negative from time to time. I've seen that once or twice.
Yeah, that's like the worst.
Being a creator and an artist, but also, a fan, a music fan and a poster fan, I just felt like the need to ask this. When you go and you're chasing a poster yourself, are you more of a regular paper or like foil variant guy?
I tend to go paper.
Okay.
I like, and it kind of all depends. Like, I feel like the paper allows the art to show up more. Like, the foil can dull it out. But with that said, I'm always designing with foil in mind, leaving specific places for the foil to shine through. And then I am just a sucker for the shiny paper as well.
Same.
So it goes both ways. Like, for my own work, a lot of times it's like, I like the paper. That's what it was intended for. And then I see the foil version of it. Oh, that's pretty and sweet too.
Yeah. This is one of the piece that we have behind us is one of those, because there was a foil and the foil was awesome. But this one, the way that the tone of the color shows up and just like there's this nostalgia element to it. It has this, for me, it's like reminiscent of like Magic cards that I collected when I was in high school and played the game Magic the Gathering. Like if y'all are Magic players out there, you probably heard of like Unlimited Series, 4th edition, alphas, betas. Like I was there on the ground when it all happened. I had those,
waiting in line,
traded them, sold them.
Shows,
yeah. And so this to me is like it's got a little bit of a nod to that.
Yeah,
it was one of the reasons I was like, the ink version of this is really one of those that you just kind of want the paper.
Yeah, we have we have a podcast now, so it's not really a problem. But oftentimes, and Mike and I will differ. Like, not all shiny paper is equal, right? And I think sometimes there is a big difference between looking for like, what do you want to get, the regular or the foil? And sometimes both of them show up in the poster tube because we just can't make that decision.
Yeah.
Because it feels like maybe totally unique experiences where you have a regular piece versus the foil and vice versa. But there are some times where I like, we both kind of have that agreement of like, the regular, it just pops. It's just like the colorway is a little bit different, or, it just, you see more detail to it, that, hard decisions are made sometimes. And then sometimes we just do things with our adult money that, we're like, we're adults. We can get both.
And then figure it out later. Get both and figure it out later, right? That's always
there's nothing wrong with it. Just get both.
Not.
And now I've
variant.
recently treaded into an uncharted territory for me, and that's what I would call sort of like the scratch and dent poster. Because, if you're a poster collector, like you're just absolutely obsessed with like condition and quality and how is it shipped and how is it rolled and is it packed? Oh, that'll frame out, no problem. But we want 4 sharp corners, things like this, right? And I came across on eBay somebody auctioning off a Goose poster, and it was one that I'd liked and admired for a while. It was Dave Clock, and it's sort of this Planet of the Apes vibe to it. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's this like space chimpanzee and and somebody had it up, and it was banged up. I mean, someone had it on their wall, maybe with thumbtacks. I don't think it's pierced.
I don't think there's piercings, but
it is not in great shape.
Well loved, maybe.
But they had it up there with a starting bid of $10, and it was like $4 shipping or something. And so I threw a bid on it, and I got it won the auction. And I was like, Erica, I did something. And when this shows up, please don't judge me. It's not going to be the tube. And, it's a well-loved poster, but it kind of was throwback for me to being a kid with baseball cards, or hockey cards or Magic cards. Sometimes they're not pristine. They're a little banged up. And I threw that bad boy in a frame, and I'm kind of giving it a second life, and I was like, there's something kind of cool about that even something that's been banged up a little bit and well loved, they don't all have to be gems, like 10.0 grade. If you got your chance at a Mickey Mantle rookie card, but it was like a grade 2.9, like you'd still take it.
If there's some creases.
That's right.
Right. You get that'll frame out, as we joke, lovingly say. But it is. It's like, the why do you collect, right? For us as collectors, you as a collector as well as an artist, right? Like, we collect because we find joy. It brings us joy when we get a new poster from the show, or a poster from an artist that we just admire and that we know that we can support directly. But like, we put ours up, we try to put as many up on the wall as we can so that we can admire them and tell stories about them, whether we were at the show or not, or like the hard drop that you were able to get from an artist. It's like a badge of honor, right? Yeah. When you're able to get one of those. It's harder these days with bots and all that kind of stuff. But I'm really excited about the Atlanta Rock Poster Show, because it's that opportunity to really, first of all, get there early, because there's going to be some gems that are out there that these artists like Nathaniel have been holding on to just for you, the collectors.
You never know what you might find.
Yes, you'll never know what you're going to get.
And you get a chance to meet artists in person like Nathaniel.
Yeah.
Maybe stop by the table, say hello to us. We'll be around. And before we kind of wrap up, Nathaniel, where can folks find you and find your store to support your work and your AP drops and all of that stuff?
I'm on pretty much all social media, Instagram at Bourbon Sunday. I've got a website that is not the most updated, but it's bourbonsundayart.com, and that'll have all the links on there. Big Cartel, bourbonsunday.bigcartel.com. That's where you can see most of my work. It's the web store. Then I've got a Facebook group too. Like, a lot of times you can't, like the algorithms or whatever, you don't see everything. If you really do want to see what I'm up to, you should be able to get notifications through the Facebook group, which is Bourbon Sunday Cellar Dwellers.
Cool.
I love that.
That's awesome. Well, and then also on February the 28th at the Atlanta Rock Poster Show in Atlanta, Georgia, at the Sweetwater Brewery. Go meet Nathaniel, say hello, pick up a print or two or three, however many you can fit in your poster tube.
Or just say hi.
Yeah. Just come and say hello and thank him for the artwork. Well, other than that, 2026 has just kicked off. Are you like really excited for the year? Is there anything you can share now, or like say, hey, like give me a sizzler, give me like the sizzle teaser,
Yeah,
sizzle reel.
I can't say too much, but I have way too much that I'm working on right now. I've overbooked myself, as I typically do to start the year. So you'll be seeing a lot in February and March. I think, I might only have one poster coming out in February, but there's a lot in March, April that is already in the works. And I think you guys might be excited for one in particular.
Okay.
Very, very,
very exciting. Nathaniel, thank you so much for coming on Best of the Tour, sharing your story with us. And thank you to the listeners for supporting Best of the Tour, so we can continue to bring you amazing conversations like this with the artists that you love. And Nathaniel, such a pleasure. We cannot wait to meet you in Atlanta.
Yeah, same.
And then I'm going to be joining that Facebook group immediately, so I can get be in the first to know.
Inside track, if you will.
That's right.
Appreciate it.
Right.
Yeah, and thank you so much for having me. And thanks for doing this podcast and what you do for us artists. We really appreciate it.
Well,
absolutely. It's our pleasure.
The pleasure's all ours. We just kind of geek out every time. Like, after we get off the call, I'm like, oh my God, that was so cool. We wouldn't be here doing the podcast if it wasn't for the amazing artists that create the art that we love so much that we put on our walls. So thank you too. And we'll see you in just a little over a month.
In Atlanta.
Atlanta.
All right. Thanks,
Hey,
everybody.
Thanks, Nathaniel.
Thank you.
All right, Best of the Tour listeners, it's time for the Tour Tracker.
Your guide to the shows you don't want to miss. Avenged Sevenfold and Good Charlotte are kicking off their North American tour starting this summer. I want you guys to head on over to avengedsevenfold.com, find their tour dates, and pick up some tickets to a city near you. And that's your tour tracker for this episode.
Have fun out there, and we'll see you on tour. Best of the Tour is presented by Invisible Industries. Find us at www.bestofthettour.com and on all major streaming platforms, including Spotify and Apple Music. You can also catch Erica and Mike on their other podcast, Posters in Every Direction, streaming wherever you stream your podcasts from. A big thanks for listening, and we will talk to you next time. If you're digging the stories that Erica and I are bringing you, and if you'd like to keep these podcasts going, please consider tipping us in the tip jar at buymeacoffee.com/bestofthettour. That's BUYMEA coffee.com/bestofthettour to support the podcast. Thanks, y'all.
Are you looking for some ways to get inspired and make some creative magic happen? Then you need to go stock up on art supplies. Head on over to bestofthettour.com and hit our Blick affiliate link. It's the same price, supports the show. Go check it out.
If you're like us, you love supporting the independent artists who make the art for the posters we love. So if you're looking for a new poster, look no further than shop.invisibleindustries.com. You can find their print collections, including art prints, limited edition prints, remarks, original works, and much, much more.
So go on over to shop.invisibleindustries.com to go check out what they've got in store.